What's up, guys? Jack here. I want to talk about gloves. No, not necessarily rubber gloves. Talking about patrol gloves. I have, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree with me, I have an issue with wearing rubber gloves. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't wear rubber gloves every job I go on. When I wear rubber gloves, my hands sweat, rubber gloves do not breathe, so what winds up happening is my fingers start to crack. And when your fingers start to crack, they get compromised. Now you put gloves back on and your hands start to sweat more, and the dryness and the cracking, it doesn't heal. It's kind of a vicious cycle. So a while back I set out to try a pair of patrol gloves, a lot like what the PD would wear. Obviously, if my patient is hemorrhaging or there's bodily fluids that I don't want to get in contact with, yes, I do wear rubber gloves. Don't get me wrong, I never touch a patient with my bare hands. The biggest thing that I find with patrol gloves is it protects, however, they also breathe. And I think that's a very important thing, and rubber gloves just don't do that. So a lot of times if I'm dealing with a patient, I will put on my patrol gloves, take BP, pulse, stuff like that with my patrol gloves on, and again, if the situation calls for BSI, body substance isolation, as we call it in New York, then I'm going to, of course, put on my rubber gloves. So a while back I set out to find the perfect patrol glove. I went online, I found one that Under Armour makes. The name escapes me right now. I didn't like them because the palms were perforated. They had holes in them. The holes were there to breathe. They were there so that air could circulate, which is fine. I have no issues with that. Issues in our field, you don't want holes in the palm of your glove for obvious reasons. So I got those in the mail, checked them over. I wound up giving them to my brother. He's a police officer. He's a federal officer. I gave them to him. He loves them. Did some more research, and I found the 511 Tactical Hard Time gloves. I bought these. I absolutely fell in love with this glove. Now, I'm not saying they're the only glove on the market, but I am saying that I recommend. Couple features here that I really like. The back part of the glove, okay? It's made of a thick cotton polyester combination of some sort. You look at the back, this is actually a fabric here. Alright, it's got the Velcro. You could pull it nice and tight. Alright, this particular one, some of them I've noticed, I think some of the newer ones have like a piece of paracord right here you can hold on to. I would have cut that off anyway. I think I may have cut it off. I don't like the fact that there's a loop there to get snagged on something. The knuckles are individually reinforced. A couple benefits to this. One, there are some manufacturers who make their gloves and it's a solid knuckle piece. This looks a little bit more menacing to patients. If you're dealing with a psych patient or somebody who's intoxicated, they see you with these gloves. You look threatening, you look menacing to them. With this style, here I am from back here, you don't really notice, it's not as defined that these are actually composite reinforced knuckles. I actually had a patient, we were restraining a psych patient. I was actually at the hospital and the patient started flipping out. The hospital police came over, we restrained him, and the patient actually chomped down on my hand. And I think it was before I got these, so it was another reason why I got the reinforced knuckles, is because that happened. I didn't want it to happen again, and I promise it. My hand never found its way that close to a patient's mouth again. Just in the scuffle, things happen. I'm sure there's some naysayers out there that's saying that you should have never had your hand there in the first place. The fact of the matter is that it happened. That's why they're called accidents. That's why they're called oops, whatever. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I got with the reinforced. As you look closer, there are perforations here. You see the holes. This does allow airflow. The knuckles as well have the perforations here. From the fingertip, if you look at this, from the top of the fingertip, you can see how this part starts right here, and it rolls completely up, and this is one solid piece, and this is one of the biggest selling points. The guys at 511, they really thought this through. The whole palm of this, if you notice, there's no seam, okay? Right here, this is actually not even a seam, this is a reinforcement right here. Because if I flip my hand over to my thumb, you can actually see how this part of the palm still comes up and continues here. So even the thumb, where it looks like a seam, is actually just a reinforcement. The only seams, just because they had no choice, are in between the fingers. All right, but if you look, the seams are very tight, and this is I think goat skin, which is a very, very tough type of leather. 511 teamed up with Ironclad, as you can see right there. Ironclad, if some of you may know, that they make work gloves for carpenters and construction workers and stuff like that. On the inside, they even put a little place where you can put your ID. You can put your information in here. Centerpiece here, it's much like a wetsuit, both here and here. The centerpiece here is leather. Again, when you grab, pull this on tight. These are large gloves. They fit very well. Something else that might be very interesting to some of you is I can actually feel a pulse through these gloves. It's faint, it's not as well, but yeah, no, actually, that would be enough to take an accurate set of vitals. So you don't have to take these off. You can actually, the tips of this are thin enough to where you can take a pulse right through the glove. I wear these things, realistically, I wear these 12 hours because, if I'm driving the ambulance, they work great because they kind of stick to the wheel. When you're making, these types of motions and you're driving, make a sharp turn, I tend to steer with the palm of my hand. This grabs the wheel real nice. So not only do they protect you from, whatever the patient may have on them. And again, if the patient's bleeding, take these off. Switch back to your standard gloves. I think my only real complaint about this glove is, and I've had these a while and I've washed them a lot. When I get to the hospital, typically, I'll actually walk right up to the little dispensers on the wall, the hand sanitizer dispensers. People look at me like I'm crazy because I'm washing my hands with gloves on, but I'm actually washing my gloves. I walk over, some hospitals have a little canister, looks like a Cool Whip container, on the wall, and you hit it and it foams up. Others have the pump with the alcohol sanitizing liquid in it. I'll fill my hands up and I'll actually wash and hand sanitize my gloves itself. And again, people look at this moron. He's washing his hands. He's got gloves on. No, I'm actually washing my gloves. It works really well. The downside is that the dye seeps through, that it actually turns the palm of your hand black. But that hot soapy water, that comes off. If your hands start to sweat a little bit, you'll find the same thing. I just had them on a little bit, but my hand's not really black. It's fairly clean. But definitely recommend the 511 Tactical hard time gloves. They do have a more aggressive one. I would think that's really more for like military applications. Yes, the knuckles are worn on this. No, it is not from hitting patients. It's actually from bringing the stretcher in and out of the ambulance. A lot of times you're moving around fairly quick, and I tend to bump my knuckles on the floor of the ambulance. Both sides are like that. It's a little wear and tear, but again, these protect it. I'm very satisfied with these 511 Tactical and Ironclad both. They put a lot of thought and effort into these gloves. If you are looking for a good patrol glove that is going to offer you protection from trauma and the funk factor, you know, let's face it, some patients you don't even want them touching your own pen. These are good. You're in an ambulance for however long, you know, if you have extended shifts, stuff like that, or even if you're a volunteer, this is a good glove. The other thing I want to say is where I ride, some of you will probably not be able to fathom this, but where I ride, we are legally and in a lot of cases we are obligated by med control to restrain patients. I have been attacked in the back of the ambulance, mostly by psych patients. They come in on papers. The police department to go get a psych eval. So a lot of times when that's happening, and again, I've been attacked by patients, your fight or flight kicks in. Your first reaction is going to be you want to hit the patient, but obviously, you know, you got to use your judgment. You're there to help them. You're not there to harm them. Another benefit to these gloves is this material, this lambskin or goat skin leather, really works well for grabbing bare skin. You have a patient and you know they're coming at you, whatever, you grab their wrist with this grabs tight. I mean, they're very I don't want to say sticky, but there's a lot of friction there to hold on to, and you know, you can do some manipulation and you can get them calmed down and stuff. You know, I've had to do that several times with these gloves, and they work really well. They're comfortable. The other thing that's really interesting is that these gloves actually feel like they were made for my hand. As I make a fist here, and when you're gripping a steering wheel or something, I really can't even tell that this composite is here, because my knuckles really do fit inside of this, inside of this composite. The inside of this glove is basically the opposite of the outside. You know, it's not a solid piece of plastic. It contours. So when if you got the steering wheel, or or you do find yourself, I mean, let's face it, sometimes you have to defend yourself. Again, if you're looking for a good functional pair of patrol gloves, the 511 Tactical Hard Time gloves, I really recommend them. Check them out. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them below, and I'll try to answer any more questions you guys have. Take care, be safe, and don't bring your work home with you guys. All right? Take care.